Okay, hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Thank you so much for coming. Today's shiur, we're going to speak about, they say, watch what you eat, right? And eat only what you watch. Well, first check what you're eating. So we're going to try to speak about how it's important to check all whatever we eat from bugs. It says in the Torah, פרשת ויקרא, ספר ויקרא, it says, אל תשקצו את נפשותיכם בכל אשר ארץ השורץ, don't contaminate, don't, you have to check yourself, you have to check what you eat from insects, from bugs, from worms, from mites, from all kind of flies. There are three types of insects, we're going to speak about this soon. Don't contaminate yourself. It says, ולא תטמאו וניטמתם בם. ונטמאתם בם. הכוונה, don't contaminate, and the rabbi said, וניטמתם. It makes you like stupid in a way that you get confused. You don't know. You're blocked in a way to get spirituality. Sometimes you don't understand. A man came a man came to one of the rabbis and he asked him, he was already close to the age of 90. He was religious, all his family members were religious, his grandkids even were religious, they were all fine. And he asked the rabbi, I believe it was Rabbi Shach, I think, he asked him, since young age, I'm not able to open a Gemara and to understand it. And so the rabbi mentioned him, told him a story that happened with Rav Akiva Eiger, that's also. So in his time there was this young boy that at the age of, he was at the age of 7 at that time. In a little town that he lived, the rabbi disqualified the shochet, the slaughterer over there, the one that slaughters the animals. But he, with his chutzpah, he continued slaughtering for people. People, privately would ask him to come. And then there was this family that had to do a wedding. And they asked him if he can come, because it was cheaper or whatever reason it was. And he did the shechita to all the people. This boy, he wanted to taste the food. He didn't know that there's a problem with that meat. And he ate that, and since that time, he couldn't study Torah, he wouldn't understand. So when they realized that there was a problem with the shechita, and probably he ate from the shechita, the mother came to the rabbi and she asked him, Rabbi Akiva Eiger, what should I do? My son doesn't understand, he cannot understand anything. So he suggested her, take the boy, do aliyah to Israel, and hopefully in the land of Israel, his mazal, his luck, everything will change. Hopefully, the entity of the person is changing, and so he'll be able to learn. And in Israel, he became a big Talmid Chacham. So Harav Shach is telling this story to this old man, and he told him, maybe in your past was something like that too. So he was thinking, and then he remembered that he learned in a school, I guess, with non-Jews, not Jewish people. And once his friend brought a salami, and it was smelling so much, and he was so hungry, he didn't have his food to school. And he wanted, and he knew that it's not allowed, and he knew that it's a problem, and he knew it's not kosher. Nevertheless, all of a sudden he had such a craving or hunger or whatever, he tasted from this non-kosher meat, and since then, he remembered that this is the time, he was 9 at that time, probably at that time on, he couldn't really learn Gemara anymore. So this is venitamtem. Venitamtem, it doesn't make us stupid, God forbid, but you get confused. You're blocked. And many rabbis here, I'll try to mention some rabbis here, that they say that people have problems with they have doubts in Hashem, they have doubts in Divrei Chazal, in what the rabbis say. They have doubts here, that have with faith, with emunah, with people that eat non-kosher. It could be eating non-kosher meat, but one of the problems is not to eat all kind of insects. And it says in the Talmud, Baba Metzia, Tanat be Rabbi Ishmael, he says that if Hashem would take the Jewish people out of Egypt just for them not eating all kind of bugs and insects, it's enough. And you don't understand, באמת? This is the reason we came out of Mitzrayim. But yeah, אל תשקצו את נפשותיכם. Don't make your body get used to these things. The non-Jews that don't have any restrictions on kashrut, in a way, they are rough. In a way, you know, their body, they're not obligated not to eat this stuff, but Jews are. And I don't know, you probably heard and you know that a lot of the scientists, the big scientists, the big smart people, you know, in the world comes from Judaism. Many times it's because they, you know, kept themselves from eating pork and stuff and all kind of and there was this rabbi that lived in Mexico City, and he gave a whole big shiur about kashrut in the kitchen, in the Jewish kitchen, how to be careful from bugs and, you know, kosher meat and kosher fish and all this stuff. And right afterwards, somebody came and told him a personal story that somebody in his family got sick. I don't know even how you call it. They had a parasite that gets into the brain, and so they took him to a specialist, a special doctor, because if you don't treat it, this worm that gets into and just, you know, it causes death. This kind of a disease. So she was operated right away, and Baruch Hashem, the doctor said that she's fine and she will be able to make it and she will be okay. But then he asked, and then afterwards, after some time, when she recovered, they came to pay a visit to the doctor and to thank him. So he asked them, "Did you hear about the Jewish people?" They said, "Yes, we're Jewish." "You're Jewish? It cannot be. People who eat pork usually can have this type of a parasite that can get into the brain and damage it, God forbid. But you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be free of these problems. How come in your family you had this problem?" They were very embarrassed and they said, "Yeah, we didn't eat kosher. But now, you know, because of you telling us, you know, we're going to try to be strict with that, and from now on we're going to try to eat kosher meat." It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So, and there was another. I'll tell you even more than that. A man came to a seminar, and he hears a series of lectures about the Jewish faith, about the Torah, about mitzvot, about you know, science and Torah and all kinds of stuff. And he sees that everything is true. He sees that, you know, it doesn't make sense to him. But he said, "Well, what should I start with for the beginning? I can take upon myself one thing. I cannot grab everything. What should I start with?" They went to a big rabbi in Israel, and he suggested to start with kashrut. Really? Not Shabbat? Not tefillin? Not, I don't know, something else? Why kashrut? He said, if somebody wants to be able to accept all the laws of the Torah, he needs to become a good vessel for this. And if it says v'nitamtem bam, that it confuses you, that it blocks you from spirituality, first take care of that. Once you take care of that, you know, the rabbis say that it penetrates and goes to your children. Your children, B'ezrat Hashem, are going to be spiritual children that will be accepting and won't have problems with emunah. In Masechet Yoma says Rabbi Ishmael that sins that people do, metamtemet libo shel adam, avera metamtemet, it confuses the person, the human being. it continues, the rabbis here say that לעתיד לבוא, in the future world, Hashem is going to make a big feast to all the righteous people that lived in this world, and who will be able to have the merit to see this thing? People who didn't contaminate themselves with non-kosher food. So if you eat kosher, you know, it's so much easier to go there and to get there. Ramban speaks about how this non-kosher foods and whatever is forbidden affects the human being itself, how it affects on his children. This is what I want to say before. And he says that the parasha in the Vayikra of Isha Kitazriya, once a woman is get pregnant and have kids, it's connected to Parashat Shmini, where it says not to eat all kind of bugs, all kind of non-kosher animals and stuff. And there is a connection, he says. There is a connection because, and then there's a connection to the afflictions that people may get, because it's all connected. He says whoever tries not to eat non-kosher food, okay, will have good children, pure, holy, and so on. More and more rabbis here speaks about that the blood becomes dirty, and the heart becomes blocked, and the mind becomes dark, and they cannot receive the light of the faith and the cleavness to be cleaved and connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and so on and so on and so on. So Or Chaim says that sometimes a person changes from being good, he changes to bad if he eats something not kosher. It affects, it's unbelievable how it affects us. There's no really explanation in the Torah why we're not allowed to eat these things. Kashrut is one of these laws that's called chok. It's a chok. You don't understand why. You don't understand why this is allowed, this is not allowed. But this is a law in the Torah, and it's good to know that it's for our own benefit. Let's start talking a little bit now about details. The Gemara, already from 1,000 years from now, started to speak about the existence of bugs and insects and all kind of food in that things, bugs that are in water, bugs that could be in grains, in all kind of fruits and vegetables, in fish, okay, in fish. And so there could be such a thing, but you just have to understand that these things changes from place to place, from country to country, from time to time. There is some time that things can get infested, sometimes it's clean, it's okay. So, and even though the food today is sprayed with all kind of pesticides, and you think that it's clean, pesticides don't kill everything. And the reason of putting the pesticides is to protect the crops, okay? And they don't try to destroy all the bad, all the insects in there, whatever they have, because they don't want it destroys other things as well, and they don't want financially to be damaged too. So this is not their concern. Some of the pesticides, they don't kill all the bugs. Some of them are surviving, of course, and they don't care about that. And some of them are so connected to the leaf that they don't leave the leaf. They're still there. Even though it's dead, let's say, it's still there and it's still not allowed to eat. Wow. So we'll have to remove them. Today, there's also biological pesticides where how should I say it? They put all over other type of bugs that will eat those harming bugs. Mm-hmm. And they don't care that other bugs will they're still there as long as they're not harmful. But for us, it's not allowed. Any bug, it doesn't matter.
They disperse it all over.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and also there are some pesticides that solve the problem of the damaging bugs, but increase other type of bugs which are not okay for us as well. Sometimes they don't do it all the way. Sometimes, let's say it's the end of the season, and financially it doesn't worth for them to invest so much, because financially it's a lot of money to do the whole field where there's only few fruits or vegetables left over there. So they don't do a good job, and stuff stay there. Some fields they don't use pesticides altogether. Some use organic food. So with organic food, they don't like the pesticides. You can have many bugs there as well. The Torah divides the bugs to three main groups. One group is called Sheretz Haaretz. These are bugs that they crawl on the earth itself, on the ground, okay, like ants, like beetles, like all kind of worms. Second group is Sheretz Ha'of, things that fly, like all kind of flies, like mosquitoes and stuff. Number three, Sheretz Hamayim. Sheretz Hamayim are bugs that live inside the water, like crabs, like shrimps and stuff. Whoever eats Sheretz Haaretz, the first group, things that crawl on the floor, like ants and beetles and stuff like that. So this person violates 5 lavim from the Torah. 5 lavim, 5 violations of Torah of not eating this stuff, because it mentions 5 times in the Torah. Whoever eats Sheretz Ha'of, things that fly, like a bug that flies, like mosquitoes that fly, he violates 6 lavim from the Torah. And whoever eats Sheretz Hamayim, which is crabs and stuff, he violates 4 lavim. Just to demonstrate and to make you understand. If somebody, God forbid, eats kazait, which is 27 grams of pork, right? Of pig. So he violates 1 lav from the Torah. But if somebody eats kazait if somebody eats a bug, okay, he violates either 4 or 5 or 6 lavim, which
One
is
bug,
which is
vegetable with a
which
bunch of
is-
them and somebody eats
right, which is so severe, so
That is
strong.
severe.
And
I didn't know that. That's
it
really
says that
severe.
a worm, even if it is the smallest one, if you can see it with a healthy eye, even though, let's say, you'll need the glasses for that, okay, you see just a little black dot. You don't really see the whole leg or the whole, body. It doesn't matter. You see a bug, and it's not allowed. If you're able to see it only through a microscope, then it's not a problem. But if you're able to see it, it's a small one, but you're able to see it with your eyes, people usually are able to see it, it's called a bug, and people are not allowed to eat that. Many times the color of the bug is the same color of the vegetable or the fruit, and therefore you cannot identify it. Sometimes it's not moving, therefore you cannot really see it.
Wow.
Therefore, we have to check it very thorough, and there's all kind of sometimes aphids, knimot, that are on the vegetable on the peel of the fruit, right? I'll soon explain it. I'll show you. So you have to wash it very well before you peel it, because touching it or cutting through the fruit, it can go inside too, or with your hand, because you touched it before with your hand, it can go inside. So you have to wash it. All kind of fruits and vegetables that we know that could have this problem. All these things you have to check them before eating. You are not allowed to eat them without checking, like lettuce, things that are made from leaves. All these small leaves like cilantro and parsley, basil if you would like to eat fresh, and stuff like that, or mint. All these things, before you put it into your tea, let's say, if it's fresh, or you cut it for your salad or anything, you have to first clean them, and I will speak now about how cleaning them. a food that was found infested with worms, even in just a little bit of that, okay? So you can remove it, whatever you found, if the rest is clean. I'll give you an example of what happened to me about 3 weeks ago. I bought the rice that you see over there. It's a basmati rice. Fresh, new, from the store. I bought it and it was clean and everything. A moth, just like before, came inside the house. And the place where the rice was, I guess it was open and it went through. So Baruch Hashem, I use rice very often. And the next time I clean the rice, I see a cluster of rice.
Yeah.
So quickly I removed it, and then I saw the moth next to it. So I took care of the moth, and since then I'm cleaning and cleaning. Baruch Hashem, it didn't have time to do more, just the first thing. So once you remove it, and then of course you have to check it all the time, and even when you don't have the moth, you have to check it all the time, because these things like grains and rice and stuff can get infested. So this is what you do. But if you see that it has already more than 3 bugs or clusters or whatever, it's fast the way that they lay the eggs, and it's fast. It doesn't take 3 weeks like we think and whatever. It's very fast. So if you have more than 3, you have to get rid of this, because you won't be able to really clean it all. Things that were checked very well and were not stored well afterwards, like grains, like flour. Let's say you sifted it and you cleaned it and you put it in your cabinet. In the cabinet, it can get infested again. Right? If you put it right away in the freezer, you don't have to check it anymore. It's clean. But if it stays there, okay, more than 24 hours, you have to sift it all over. Okay?
Outside the refrigerator?
If it stays more than 24 hours outside the refrigerator, you have to, especially in hot weather, like summer over here, or in Israel, or in other places, okay, it's a problem. My husband is now checking something. He called the agriculture ministry somewhere in Washington, and he asked them about the kemach heshan. They're supposed to give him an answer if kemach heshan, if the flour that we have in the stores, okay, is it new crops that is a problem, or it comes to us after a long time. So they're supposed to give him an answer now. But meanwhile, they told him, I'll give you a tip about flour. After you sift the flour, okay, if you want this not to get infested, don't keep it in the refrigerator, put it in the freezer. This is the first tip that they gave us this week. We heard it was very interesting.
Repeat that again?
Don't put it in the refrigerator. It's better that you put it in the freezer, because in the refrigerator, even more than outside, it could get infested faster. I don't know why, but that's what they said.
That's amazing.
That's what they said.
Because of the moisture, I think.
Maybe.
It keeps them alive, I think.
Inside the refrigerator, it gets more infested, they say. Better to put it in the freezer.
Or in storage, regular
They
storage.
said also
No,
about
regular storage, it's room temperature.
Okay.
You need to keep it in a cold weather where they won't get
about spices. They also said
spices.
last week.
נכון.
Spices.
I usually put it in the refrigerator.
נכון, spices.
Refrigerator?
Wow.
No, freezer.
Spices, all kind of grains too. All kind of grains. It's better that you put it in the refrigerator, because all kinds of stuff. Yeah. I remember there was some time certain stores, I guess, maybe one package that came to that store was infested, and they crawl from one thing to another, and and even though you buy very often in that store, and usually the store is clean and
But
everything,
how do we go
but
to big parties and weddings?
that's a big problem. That's a big problem. That's a big problem. It's not
You can't eat
easy.
anything.
Yes, it's a big problem. We'll talk about this soon. So a whole worm, or even a half a worm, as long as you can identify it in the food. Let's say it was mixed with a food that was cooked or in a salad or something, you're not allowed to eat the whole food until you remove that piece or that worm from the food. And if it was, if it was by mistake, okay, in a food that usually is supposed to be clean. You're not supposed to be infested. It's not a food that there's a problem. So if it have it there, and was already blended, let's say, you're not able to see it anymore. So it's okay, because it's not a food that usually you have a problem with worms, let's say.
For example.
Cilantro.
No, cilantro. Let's say you have potatoes. You're not supposed to have usually worms in potatoes. Okay, you mash the potatoes already, and then you realize that there was some kind of a problem. Okay, but if it's a food that can be a problem, let's say chickpeas, that was not checked before, was all thrown into a pot and started boiling and whatever, and you see that there's black little insects in there or something, or white worms, so you're not allowed to eat that at all, even though it was smashed and mashed and mushed and whatever.
I can eat the potatoes if there's a bun in it.
Why you're allowed to eat? Because this type of a food, it's usually not a food that you can, is infested usually, and by mistake there was one worm, it says, or something that by mistake was blended in that food, and you cannot recognize it anymore. So this is batel, but other things are not batel.
Because like it was blended.
Because it's a food that usually is not supposed to be infested.
Doesn't have worms.
You can still eat it?
But there is a worm inside, it's fine.
But it's blended.
If it's blended, you cannot really eat
Mashed potatoes.
That's it. If you see a whole worm, you're not allowed to eat that food until you remove it. But if it's blended, this type of food, it usually is clean. Okay, this is what it says. It's okay. Worms usually don't have bones, and therefore they're not preserved as a whole after a year. After a year, if it was left like that, so it usually gets powdery. It doesn't stay. It's not there. And therefore, a food that had some worms, that was was not stored the right way, okay, and other worms came in or other bugs came in, it's a problem. You cannot really touch it. But if it was stored in a way that no bugs can go inside, and this package was stayed like that for more than a year, okay, they say it's okay. I don't know if today people usually don't. Today we have expiration day. We don't eat. I guess these laws are for older days when they didn't really have food and it was a problem for them. Today, Baruch Hashem, there's such abundance. People won't eat things that are so old. But basically, yeah, if you have more than 1 year, that was stayed like that and no one touched it, so it's good to soak them then in cold water, okay? And let's say it's a chickpeas. You soak it in cold water, you see if there's anything there, and then if there would be any bugs, they would float up, okay? So you see that you cannot really use it. But if there's nothing there, then you're going to put it on with hot water, boiling hot water, and then see if anything there, it will go up. Some of the worms, some of the chickpeas, right, that let's say there was a hole in there, they are lighter now, they will float. These ones you're supposed to remove. And then if you see it that another one and another one, you don't want to use it anymore. Then it's a problem. It says also that sometimes cans, preserves, if it's preserved, so also if there was, let's say, a bug in there or a worm in there, the worm preserves too. Okay? So if you see such a thing, you have to, of course, you have to be careful. You have to remove. You have to check them. Usually, it says in olives you can see such a thing. And sometimes you see black stuff inside the olive. Full olives usually they could be there. So you have to check. Some things we're not even checking. Figs, very problematic, because the worms, they look like the little threads that inside the fig, whether it's fresh or even if it's a dry fig. Even dry fig is a problem, because the worm is the same color of the fruit itself. So it's problematic. There is a way to clean it, but it's very, very hard. It's better not to use. Cauliflower, broccoli also are recommended not to use, because
Not to eat?
not to use because there's a lot of bugs that can be in between the flowers over there. Very, very hard to clean it. And the rabbi suggested if you really, really have to, you have to remove all the flowers, just eat the stem if you really have to. But I won't even able to explain how to do it because I never use it. I don't have it.
Even with salt and water?
With salt and water and everything.
It
Yeah.
doesn't help? Seriously?
That's what it says.
Frozen.
And if it's frozen also, so because the worms or whatever is in there, it gets freezed also, and it's pieces or whatever, it's a whole thing in there, and would be very, very hard to get rid of it, to
But I
clean
was-
it, to remove
I
it.
was told that, they plant the cauliflower and they kind of take them during the winter time and the pesticides, not the pesticide, bugs don't go in. That's the time they start.
Hypogenic, something like that. It's
I don't know.
done in the house.
Bodic or whatever
Something like
it
that.
is.
I don't
Up to
know.
you, I'm just saying.
Greenhouse.
Yeah.
Today also the vegetables are coming from all kind of places,
There's
United
specific
States,
places,
it's a
yeah.
big place. What if these things are grown in South America, which weather usually warm there most of the time, or I don't know exactly where they grow these things. I'm just saying it's not an easy thing, and that's the suggestion here. So basically, this is what it is, and now we're going to try to take care of, slowly of the items that I would like to pay attention to. Okay, so we clean usually our kitchen, our things that we use in the kitchen, from the flour. We do Baruch Hashem, הפרשות חלה, and challah for Shabbat. So even though it would say, let's say, pre-sifted, you still have to sift it, as we said before. Whatever it stays more than 24 hours, you have to sift it, right? The sifter that we use for this flour is usually these guys, 70 mesh. You see, it's like a material, nothing can go through. So we'll go through this sifter slowly. We're going to sift them, make sure there's no mites in this flour, and bugs and worms and whatever, okay? And once you finished sifting and you're not using it anymore, put it in the freezer. Yes. Next thing that we're talking about is all kind of grains. So for example, I have here some rice, right? If you have a big amount, you can use a strainer and go through it, make sure that the rice stays on top, meaning the holes needs to be very, very small, and see whatever comes down there, right? But if you have a small amount, you put it on a white surface. If you have a bigger amount than that, you can put a liner, a white liner, white sheet, shelf
paper, anything,
yeah,
as long as it's
paper,
white.
as long as it's white, and go slowly, grain by grain. Take your time, okay? Try to buy rice that is closed in packages, not the opened in a bulk or by weight or stuff. Because things that are open, all the grains that are open, you don't know who touched it, who went through,
Right.
what did he get, moth came into the store or whatever. It can get infested. So just in packages, good quality rice usually, okay? So this is how you go. You're looking basically for damaged rice, you know, with dots, dirty dots, brown or black or other colors or whatever, you know, go slowly, slowly, and this is basically how you clean them. Afterwards, you're going to take the rice and put it into water, okay? You rinse it very well, a few times, 3 times usually I rinse it, okay? And then you're going to add boiling water. Here I have a mix for a cholent, okay? What we have here? We have beans, all kind of colored beans, and
Kidney beans, pinto beans,
barley, whatever, yeah. And I added hot water before. Now it's colder. I added hot water before. Once you add hot water on top of this, first you clean it like we clean the rice, right? If there's anything there, it will float. But it won't stay for a long time in the hot water. You have to check it right away. Then it will sink. So you have to look at this. You have to look at this all the time. After it was soaked for a while already, okay, you rinse it and then you put it on top of a plate and check it one by one again. That's how you clean. That's how you prepare. You know, all these lentils and all these beans that you have, and peas, and all this stuff. Here I soaked a few hours before I put some water on top of the chickpeas. When the chickpeas are soaked, okay, this is when you can take one. I hope it's ready now, and you know you could peel it. See? Otherwise, if it's not, you can peel it open and see if there's anything there. That's how we clean.
Each one has to be open?
Yes. It's good to open it. It's good to rinse it afterwards. Otherwise, the food is kind of concentrated and heavy. This is regarding grain. Okay. Now let's. So sesame, for example. You know, you see a cluster or anything, you put it also on top of a plate and check it the same as we did before with the rice. Very important. You know, if you want to do a challah, do it all the way kosher. Let's go now to the green stuff. Green stuff are, you know, very problematic, so we want to try to make sure that it's all clean, right? First thing that we do, we put, let's say, I took lettuce here. I separated it to leaves, okay, each individual leaves, and first I put it in salty water. So let's take salt. Okay, let's put, let's say, around 2 tablespoons of salt here.
You can't put too much or too little, right? There's like a specific command.
Huh?
It's like a specific command.
Can you use kosher salt?
Whatever can kill me.
It's a bigger salt.
Yeah, but does it dissolves inside water? I don't know. I don't really use it. Okay, then you're going to put them here one by one, whatever. Put them and soak them for about, let's say, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. Okay, we'll leave it here. We'll come back to it. We'll see what happens with it. So here I have the cilantro. I'm sorry, the parsley that are already soaked in salty water. I rinsed it, and then I put soapy water.
Really?
Soapy water, because the salty water kills it.
Right.
The soapy water, it comes off. The bug, if it's connected to the leaf, it comes off.
Really? Oh, wow.
Okay, so
How
you
long is
rinse.
soap?
Huh?
How long?
5 minutes. This here you don't really have. You
Is
don't
that
really.
the soap you use? The veggie
Could,
wash?
could be no. This
No?
is on top. This is for removing pesticides and stuff. Anything would go.
Ajax. really?
Anything would go. Yeah. So this is regarding this. So this is here for a while already. Here I have cilantro that I already soaked it in salty water and in soapy water, and I rinsed it.
How long?
What? 5 minutes.
Cilantro.
Soapy water for about 10-15 minutes. This is for about 5 minutes. And then we have this thing. This is light. Okay, this is the light. We're going to take now this cilantro here.
So this is already clean cilantro.
This is already clean cilantro. Take a nice
Now
piece
I
in
know why
there.
you're so skinny.
What's the-
By the time you eat, already it's covered.
So here you see, it's see through. You can see that it's clean. You see, there's
what-
nothing in here.
I'm sorry.
So you
when
check-
you wash it one by one. You wash it
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
bowl.
You try to wash only few in one shot, not too many, because too many, and the water needs to be a strong flow,
Strong current.
current of water, and then you check them one by one. It takes time. You check them one by one. We're going to soon check the lettuce. Same you do with cabbage. Okay. I didn't rinse them. I didn't clean them. But basically, you remove the leaves. Okay. You remove the leaves.
But
Put them in salty water.
don't we boil the sprouts and then? No?
Put them in salty water. There's no salt in here. And then in soapy water. And then once it stays there, you're going to bring them into this, rinse them of course clean, wash them very well. You can scrub it even. You can use any type of brush or sponge. And then you're going to put them here on top of this light. There are some bugs. Why you need so much this light? There are some bugs that are building tunnels inside the stem or inside the leaf, and you will not be able to remove it. Therefore, this type of bugs you have to remove the whole leaf, the whole place that it's infested, and throw it because you cannot really remove it. Other bugs, you just wash it very well, and it will come off with the soap, and then with the stream of the water or the strong, and once you're brushing it a little bit or rubbing it a little bit with your hand, with your sponge or whatever, it will be clean. It will be okay. Okay. This is what we do with vegetables. You can use.
No.
This is basil. You can
Basil,
smell it.
basil.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. This is what we do with vegetables. Let's go to fruit. Here's some dry fruit that we have here. For example, this is dry apricot. Okay, dry apricot. You must open them because you don't know what's in there.
But it
So
says kosher on it.
I know it says kosher.
But
even
it's
though it says
Don't
kosher.
they check and do that?
Even if they do check, I don't know if they check for that, but even if they do check, it could get infested. Therefore, okay, you take it, you open it, cut it, open, and see what is in there.
Wow.
Okay, this looks clean. Same we do with. Okay, this is harder to check already,
Yeah.
but basically these are dates. Yeah, basically you have to cut it open. Take off this, the pit,
Okay.
and see with a better light. This is not a good idea. And if you need to use glasses, you need glasses. You have to check and see what's in there, right? So basically, to
Where do
see,
we look? Where do we look?
you check after you remove the pit. You check all around what could be here. The light helps very much here. Yeah.
What about date spread?
Well, you check the spread and see how it looks like. You have to see if it has something in there or not. I wanted to mention this thing. Let's say you want to use the zest of the fruit.
Right.
Okay. So first, before you start even, okay, you take a hard sponge with a soap and wash it very well, all the sides, because there are all kind of stuff that are on the peel. okay? So you wash it very well and rinse it. If you just want to take the juice out from this lemon, so you cut it open and make a juice. After, because if you don't clean it first, whatever was there can get into your hands and then into the juice itself.
Right.
And if you use the zest for cakes or whatever, okay, you'll need that too. So very important to do that. Even though, you know, these fruits usually are safe from they don't have the bugs in there. Here I have raisins that I had in the refrigerator for a long time. Something that you have for a long time, you soak it in water and see what happens. Soak it in water for a while already it's a few hours in the water. And if you see any bugs, any problem, anything, you know, it becomes so much softer. You can see.
And it's healthier
This is
too.
you
remove all
clean
the
it
pills
from
that's in the
so
dirt.
You put salt in there too?
no,
No,
so
just soak it in
just
the
soak it
water.
in water and it should be okay. Strawberry. Strawberry are problematic
Oh my gosh.
because
Only strawberries.
because
There's an open one.
this one I cleaned before. What I did was I soaked it in this soapy water for a while, and then basically now we have to clean it. So what do we do now? It's good to open it in the middle because
You don't wash it in salt first, right? You just
I
soak
did. I washed it. I soaked it in salt
and then
and rubbed it very well. And then it's good to open it and see what's in there. Sometimes it could be that, you know, they can get. I removed the green leaf, of course, because it could get, the worm can stay somewhere in here. So it could get, it could go all the way, you know, over here. So you just check it and see how it is. And if you see that it's clean, it's clean. Now we have to check this surface. For this, I'll take a magnifying glass, because there are some things that you cannot really check without using the magnifying glass. You can take even a toothpick and start bothering this thing to see if
Why can't you just peel it?
if anything there, if you want to use it, right? Of course, it's better after you checked it, okay, to blend it and to do smoothies or creams with that or whatever you want with that. It's good too. But basically, this is how you check it one by one. Make sure sometimes the bug is the same color, and sometimes they're just hiding in there, and you know. When you go one by one and you check one by one, there are some things like the raisins that you can check just a few of them. You see that it's all clean. You don't have to check each thing one by one. But there are some things that if you know that they could be infested, especially a problematic thing like strawberries, you would like to check it very well. What else did I leave here?
scallions.
Scallion. Okay, scallion. So scallion, you remove the. I can take another one. You remove the piece where it has the hair there. Okay, you remove the root because the bugs can get. They hide in there. Okay, and then also the whole tunnel. You cut it open all the way because it's hollow and they can just hide all the way inside, right?
Right.
So you cut them open, you go all the way inside, you cut them, and then check here. You see it, you put it here and here, and you check each and everything. Again, there are some times that these things are clean, there are some times that are infested, and therefore we have to go and open them and clean and make sure that we don't have small black dots here, or sometimes yellowish dots here, or sometimes you can check them one by one and see if it's all clean.
If we check a few and they're good, we have to keep checking.
If it's the same thing
Bunch.
and they're all clean, okay, So usually they're clean, but still you open them and you check. You get used to it, and you do that. Okay. Huh?
Usually they say if, cleaning the blueberries, if 10 blueberries are okay, clean.
Blueberries,
Then you don't
right,
have
is
to.
easier because blueberries is so much easier than
Right.
the green stuff. The green stuff you cannot say if few are clean. In the restaurants they would do that. In the restaurants they will check few, and if it's the restaurants is a whole big deal.
Okay, salt with this, a lot with this.
People kill it all the way. Okay, I have to of course rinse it first, but we're going to try to just for the demonstration. We're going to put it in here. And let's go and wash it, okay? Let's go and wash it.
After 5 minutes, right?
After 5 minutes that it's in here, we're going to try to wash it. So now washing is one by one. Washing is in a big stream of water, one by one,
Is this organic lettuce?
No.
It's really clean, and very green.
These are the inner leaves, so it's so much
Yeah.
easier. The outside leaves are already gone. So let's take these 3 leaves
Okay.
and check
Put it
them
on the light.
in the light. Okay, let's remove the stuff from here.
Did you see a video about the letters recently? They showed that it's plastic.
Yeah, I
It's
heard.
It's not really. It's plastic.
It's
Oh, the
not.
rice?
Yeah, it's not.
Let-
It's
the
not
lettuce.
true.
You don't think it's
Because-
true?
Yeah, every they said that even in the human being has a certain layer of epidermis
Right.
on our body, and so this would have a certain layer too. So it's fine that it has this layer. So here we check this side. You want to check also the stem if there could be a bug that goes with tunnels inside. But you see that it's all clean, especially the inner layers are so much cleaner. Even though you do have to pay attention to this area, sometimes sand, and if sand can go through, also other things can go through, right? So you check from both sides, and if you see that it's all clean, if you cannot see well, you use glasses or magnifying glass or whatever. So this is basically how.
So I don't eat it.
Where did you get this board?
My kids bought me as a present, so you can find it in any Judaica store.
Safra, I think I saw different.
So very interesting. Once we soak this lettuce inside the water, the salty water, we saw already a bug in there. There's one more bug here, and we put one over here into this light box, and there's 2 bugs here. Okay, from the lettuce.
Whoa.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. From
May
here?
Hashem protect us from eating bugs and from eating not kosher. And Zod Hashem, all the best, all the blessings.